Hello and welcome to the Shack News Chattycast, the podcast that's kind of having a hard time keeping its mind off the Hearthstone announcements that are incoming. I'm your host, Steve Watts.
And I'm your other host, Brian Carr.
With us today is Andrew Zakowski.
I didn't know, what was the proper way to introduce
our video personality, Andrew Zakowski. Obviously, we're pros here. He is our guest this week, which means that he gets subjected to the all-new format and all matter of shenanigans for the first time.
Yes, this is my first time. Yes.
Yeah, since the big rejiggering last week.
Yes.
Which seemed to go well. People liked it, so thank you.
Fantastic.
So every week, since the rejiggering, we pick a big topic and we post about it on the Shack News Chatty.
Is this one going to be called the rejiggering?
The rejiggering. We post about it on the Shack News Chatty on Tuesday. We get some comments from you, and then on Wednesday we talk about it in detail with your comments fueling the discussion. Hence, Chattycast. This week, our big topic is pre-ordering games. What's up with that? Why do we keep doing it? It's bitten us on the ass so many times. Us personally, perhaps, but gamers in general, definitely. So, what's with that? Why do we keep doing it? We gathered a lot of comments from you guys, and we have a lot of varied reasons of why people keep pre-ordering, or even why they don't pre-order. So that should be a good discussion. Before we get to all of that, though, we're going to talk about what we've been occupying our playing times with. And Andrew, as our guest. What have you been playing lately?
The two things that I've been playing the most recently are I'm back on StarCraft 2. I'm back on the StarCraft, or the StarCrack.
The StarCrack.
The StarCrack, as we used to call it back in the day.
You got into we got you into the beta, right?
Yeah, in the beta. Yeah. I admittedly I haven't been playing the beta as much. I've been playing the campaign of Heart of the Swarm. Been a big fan of that, and I've been getting my multiplayer stuff down. So my brother is really, really, really good at StarCraft 2. He hit Plat last season, and I'm trying to play with him, but I'm still playing AI. So it's been a slow progression.
We need to do a series of him teaching you how to play.
That would be interesting, actually.
I would watch that.
Yeah.
Fun fact, Steve. I don't know if you know this, Brian. You definitely don't know this. I have a twin. It's my twin brother. So
is he identical? Does he look exactly like you?
He's identical. However, I'm more charismatic, and he goes to the gym. That's how you can tell the difference between us.
You're dapper. You're the dapper twin, and he's.
I was gonna say
he's dressing a lot better now.
He's the muscle-bound twin.
He's dressing more like me, but yeah.
So you need to go to the gym, so that you'll meet in the middle.
He's like 30 pounds heavier than me, of all muscle, and I'm just like a yoga doing scrawny guy with a tie. So it's interesting when people haven't seen us since we're children. They're like, oh, okay. So yeah. And anyway, back to On Task, and the other game that I've been playing a lot, Darkest Dungeon recently had a new patch. They introduced a new character and a whole slew of new stuff and tweaks and nerfs and whatnot. And I'm back on it hard, and it's really difficult. It's really difficult now. They basically changed a lot of stuff with it. So now blight and bleeding actually matter now. Crits hurt you more. Doing stuff in the darkness is a lot more scarier. It's with the tweaks that they did to the game, they practically changed it. So
I bet all of those things mean a lot to people who know what you're talking about. But that is not.
I don't know. When I do stuff in the dark, it's pretty scary.
You have 40 minutes for me to explain all the new things of Darkest Dungeon, because if so,
hold on.
I will go John Hamm on this right now.
Welcome to the Patch Notes cast. We're going to talk about all the hottest patch notes. Brian, what have you been up to?
Well, I don't want to bore everybody with my exploits in Hearthstone. I've ranked higher than I've ever been before. Or Future Fight, I have a 5-star Giant Man, and for the first time ever in my life.
Not to brag, everybody, but I'll have you know.
I know people who almost
I've got a 5-star Giant Man.
But it's interesting because for the first time in my life, I actually like Giant Man. I feel like there is a point to him, that there is value to him as a character in some way, and I kind of like it.
I mean, Giant Man is basically Ant-Man in reverse, right?
Well, yeah, he's literally Ant-Man in reverse. He's the same guy. Well, Okay, not the
Depending
same
on
guy
who.
from the new movie, because that's it. Let's not get into it.
Yeah, no.
Welcome to the complicated comic book canon.
Yeah. But the big thing I've been playing, because I want to be on the cutting edge, I'm taking my duties as co-host here, so I'm trying to stay right with the pulse of the gaming community. I have started Far Cry 4.
Oh, the hottest games of 2014.
Yes. And honestly, if I went back, it would probably be my 2014 game of 2015. I'm really enjoying it. I wasn't expecting to, because I had some severe open world burnout, but not the kind that everybody likes. But which I think is Burnout Paradise.
Yeah, that's the one. I caught what you were going with.
Yeah, it was not a good joke. I wasn't.
There was a while there. I mean, speaking of open world burnout, just so that listeners get an idea, Brian and I sometimes talk when we're not on the show, and for a while there, like every time I mentioned like getting into an open world game, he gave like the most like vitriolic, sarcastic replies. I'm just like, oh, have fun with that. Ugh. God.
But no, this one I love, because like all of the missions like feel like there's like actual sort of like chaos that can happen in them. There's a lot of different systems at work. I really enjoy that, and it is like fundamentally this is like, if I had to put it like in one sentence what I like about the game, it is a game where I can hang glide and shoot guys in the face with RoboCop's gun on my way to ride an elephant. That's pretty good.
Well, there you go.
And I enjoy it. And like
it's
just
only all games.
Yeah, like that's all I want from a game. But the other thing that's really funny, and like they on the back of the box it says every second is a story. Normally I would write that off as just like marketing crap. But this one I actually did have a lot of really funny stories. Like for example, there was a mission that popped up where it's like, hey, this guy's being, he's been held hostage by these soldiers. Go free him. So I go over, pull out RoboCop's gun, shoot the soldier in the face. Eye on time, he's like, thank you, and the guy I rescue is immediately, within a second of me untying him, beset upon by a pack of wild dogs and torn limb from limb. I book it back to my truck while I'm hearing in the background, he's like, I can't believe this is happening! Why is this happening? And that's pretty good.
You can't save him from the dogs. You're like, sorry.
No,
I already completed the mission. Look, I got
my karma, okay? Our transaction's done. But yeah, I don't
need to save you. I'm not going to kill you, but I don't have to save you.
Save you, exactly.
So
wild dogs got to eat too, Steve.
Yeah, it's the food chain. Wild dogs eat former captives. That's right. That's how it works. Circle of life. I've been playing.
Meet the Gret, sir.
I've been playing like a very little bit of Heroes of the Storm, and I don't feel qualified to talk about it yet. But if I get sucked into this deep pit, which everyone else seems to have been sucked into, then I will probably talk about it more in a future show. I played like the sort of free demo character that they gave you, and that was enough to convince me to get the.
Oh, Jimmy.
Well, no, I actually played Lily. Because I was like, I want to hang back and like heal people. I don't feel comfortable being on the front lines. I want to like hang back and heal people.
Yeah.
So that convinced me to invest in the sort of starter pack where you get like 5 characters or whatever. And that just came today. So I'll be trying it out some more. But really, what I've been spending more time on is another free-to-play game, which I also paid money for, called Marvel Heroes. Because it's Diablo with Marvel characters, and I was like, well, this appeals to me in a very special way. And I was looking at like which characters are available. I was like, well, the starter characters sort of runs the gamut of famous Marvel personalities, Iron Man and Rocket Raccoon, all those people that have been famous from the movies. But I was like, who's like the most ridiculous that I can pick? Like, I want to find somebody that's kind of silly, and so I picked Squirrel Girl.
Yeah, the Invincible Squirrel Girl.
I know that she's had sort of a resurgence in popularity, and I always kind of regarded that as, I don't know, when something, this is going to sound really arrogant of me, but when something's really popular on the internet, I tend to think like, oh, it might be pandering and stupid, and if I actually engaged in it, I would be like, this is pandering and stupid, like, but it's like genuinely hilarious playing as Squirrel Girl when you're sitting there just like flinging squirrels at people, and then after you do, like, they stick around. You just have this swarm of squirrels like following you around after a while, and every time you fling one, the rest just go to attack. It's pretty amazing.
Is Tippy Toe in there?
Tippy Toe? I have no idea. I haven't dealt with
Tippy Toe's the
any
main
squirrels.
squirrel.
Oh, okay. Like the leader of the squirrels.
And I just want to really quickly recommend that anybody listening to this go read the current Unbeatable Squirrel Girl comic. It's written by
great.
Ryan North.
It's great.
Yeah, I mean now I kind of
absolutely.
have to. Like after playing as her, I'm like, well, now I have to read that because that was
funny.
that was what I was talking about when I said like, oh, I bet it's just kind of like a stupid internet meme that they're pandering to internet people. But now I definitely have to read it.
Can I ask?
I also got Daredevil because I was like, I should get a traditional Marvel hero, and he was pretty cheap. But mainly, my main is Squirrel Girl.
Could I ask, I don't want to take up much time, but I'm a huge Diablo 2 fan. I'm a huge Marvel fan. Is this game worth it? Like, do you recommend this game?
Yes.
Like,
definitely.
Is it multiplayer or is it
first of all, it's free to play, so like you can just go try it. But even the heroes aren't that much. Like I think Daredevil was around $5 and Squirrel Girl was around $10, and you only need one character to play all the way through the game. So, you know.
Can I buy someone with in-game money, or do I have to use real money to buy other heroes?
I don't actually know.
Basically, how it works, because I played this a little bit, and I'm hoping to get back into it soon here. But the way it works is that you can they give you a certain number of heroes to choose from at the outset, and I don't know if it rotates or what.
Yeah, I think there's like a level cap of like 10 or something on those ones.
Okay.
Could be wrong.
Well, no, I think they give you one so you can actually keep, and you can raise that one up as much as you want. But you can sample a bunch of different ones.
Something about a cap. Maybe the cap is just to like when you're in the sample phase before you decide which one.
Right, and so you can pay real money, and I think generally like the model's actually pretty fair. If you like look at it as like, hey, I may spend $20 on Doctor Strange, but would I pay $20 for a Marvel themed Diablo? I would. So that's a pretty fair price. But you can also unlock them through collecting like occasionally as like super like incredibly rare drops. You will get character tokens that will unlock characters. So theoretically they say, and I think this is true. You can unlock everything in the game without ever paying a dime. You will have to sink basically your entire lifetime into that.
Yes, I mean I was looking at the daily rewards and it was like log in on day 450 to get this, and it's like, has it even been out that long? Yeah.
But
so
if
the answer is like
yes,
yes, but like you can also, it's like Hearthstone. You can do everything for free in Hearthstone. Okay. It just will take all of the time.
Right.
All of the time that you have.
Is it multiplayer?
Yes.
Yeah, I was just actually inquiring that with Brian today because I want my Squirrel Girl to hook up with his.
Yep.
Whatever.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Like when I get back into it, I'm trying to figure out what hero I want to start off. We
can raid some Hydra plants together.
Oh
or
yeah,
lovely.
Yeah, I mean the commitment to the Squirrel Girl thing is just funny because the tech trees for her is whatever her melee thing is called. It's like Claws and Fury or whatever, and then the second branch of the tech tree is squirrels, and then the third branch of the tech tree is more squirrels, which I found entertaining. And of course she's unbeatable Squirrel Girl, so when she beats the supervillain, she's like, oh, gee, these supervillains sure are easy to beat. Like just kind of like stumbling into beating up supervillains. It's great fun and amusing. So with all that covered, let us move into our big topic. Our big topic this week, as I mentioned before, is pre-orders. As I sort of pitched it to the chatty, which I made provocative on purpose. I said basically pre-ordering games tends to bite us in the ass. Sometimes games have better marketing than execution, so to speak. So it just kind of pays to wait for reviews. Other times there's launch server problems, so you can't even play the game the first few days, or week, or month, or in the case of Batman, till the fall, I guess. So yeah, there's different ways that this tends to bite us on the ass, and yet we keep doing it because companies keep talking about how they've broken pre-order records. So the topic this week is pre-orders. Why do we keep doing it? What's the benefit to us as gamers? Should we be doing it? And Andrew, give us some 2 cents before I start chiming in with chatty thoughts here.
Well, I don't pre-order often. I try to think of all the times that I've pre-ordered, and I've pre-ordered 3 times in my gaming career. 2 of them, obviously, were for Dragon Age, and one of them was for Pokemon. With with Dragon Age, for the first two, you needed a pre-order so you can get Shale and so you can get Sebastian, respectively, in those games. So I've only used pre-ordering when I want the game to be 100%. Like, it's shitty, which is shitty.
Damn near. I mean, it is shitty, but it's also damn near impossible these days when it's like you get a different Batman costume at every retailer, and it's like, well, I'm not going to pre-order at 9 different retailers. You know,
that's
so.
I think the first time when I was like, wow, this is kind of bullcrap was with the Marvel. What was it? Oh God, he's been one of my favorite. Ultimate Alliance 2. When it's like if you get it at Best Buy, you get Juggernaut. If you get it at GameStop, you get Hulk. And that was my first time. I was like, this is impossible. Why is this crap? Why is this?
What if I want Juggernaut and Hulk? What do I do?
Yeah, just sitting there in the parking lot crying.
Like, the Best Buy on one side of the parking lot, GameStop on the other, you directly in the middle.
Mm-hmm. Call a movie called Andrew's Choice.
Oh no! What
am I gonna do?
Do I want to smash or crash? But with Pokemon, when I pre-ordered, I only did it because I did it for Pokemon White, and I was still in college at the time. And fun fact, college kids love Pokemon, and I wanted to be damn sure that I got myself a copy.
It's the hottest thing on all the campuses.
It's true. He's chuckle, but it's true.
Yeah,
it's like
that's
totally
unexpected.
As someone who teaches college kids, Pokemon's a very easy thing to like. If I make a Pokemon reference, they will catch it.
Yeah,
they will catch them all.
Which I do in my classes all the time.
Yeah, no, it's like it's a game series that will never leave my generation, and I have no qualms with it. But I wanted to be like I said, I want to be damn sure that I got myself a copy, and I got a poster. So all in all, I thought that was a great pre-order. But all the other pre-orders, I've just stayed away from because they have not been appealing to me at all. So that's my 2 cents on
from
that.
The chatty, David Craddock offered sort of similar reasoning. He said, "What compels me to pre-order? Just one less thing to think about. I pay off a game I want as soon as I hear about it, and then I either wait for it to download, or walk right up to the sales counter and pick it up. No fuss, no muss. It's just like my mind is now off of that. I know that I have this thing secured." I feel like that. I don't know. I feel like that is a concern that doesn't usually come into play when you walk into a particular retailer here. When you walk into a GameStop and say like, "Hey, can I have one of these?" and they're like, "Did you pre-order?" and you're like, "No," and they're like, "Then no," you know. But like any other retailer in the world, if you live near like a Walmart or a Target or like anything else, you could go and get it day one usually. So I don't know. It seems like false scarcity creates this illusion that you might have to pre-order to be able to guarantee yourself a game. I don't know. It's never been a problem for me that I just cannot get a game. There's been particular retailers that I can't get it from, and then I just drive like a mile to the other one. So Brian, what are your thoughts on pre-ordering? Do you regularly do it, and if so, why? If not, why not?
So I think I'm going to be the heel of this conversation, but I actually...
You're going to break chairs over Andrew.
Yeah, if it comes to that. But where was it? Yes, okay. So I do actually pre-order quite a bit, but here's the thing: the pre-order has to be worth it. Like, it has to be of some sort of material value. Usually, DLC is not enough. Okay, or like if some retailer's like, well, if you get this, we'll give you a free gun or a free costume. I'm like, nope, that's not enough.
Yeah.
But like, for not to out particular retailers, like Best Buy, for example. Best Buy, for some games, if you have their membership card and you pre-order it, they will give you $10 for free. That's a pretty good pre-order bonus, right? Because I can take that and I can put it towards another game. Now I've got like the 20% off card, so I can get like, if I pre-ordered Metal Gear Solid 5 the other day, I'm going to get $10 when that comes back. Plus I get the game. I save like $12 on the actual game itself.
Yeah, Chattycast brought to you by Best Buy.
Listen. I say that, and then I'm going to completely destroy that by saying that the customer service at Best Buy.
But also, fuck Best Buy.
No. Here's the thing. I will say this. I find that I have really great customer service at a GameStop. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Even if I feel like they try to push the pre-order stuff too much, it's pretty easy to say, no, I don't want that.
Yeah, no, man.
Whereas with a Best Buy, if you need help,
it's like the
sometimes
just
hard
say
to
no
find
commercials.
stuff.
It's like they'll stop bothering you if you just say
That's
no.
the thing. It's like we treat pre-orders like they're this sort of like blood contract. Like once you make it, it cannot be undone. It will follow you if you break it. If you don't pick it up.
The reality is, you can go back to GameStop and be like, "Yo, can I get my $5 back?" And they're like, "All right."
I actually, for some reason, pre-ordered a Madden and then never got it. And I realized, hey, wait a minute. I have $5 sitting at this particular GameStop. I went in there, they gave it to me, I got something else with it.
It's like, found money at that point.
Yeah. And it's now again, you have to reconcile that with the fact that you are essentially giving them a free loan, which is kind of the skeezy part of it.
Yeah.
But I don't see
they should
that
pay you interest.
Yeah. I don't see them
now you owe me $6. Haha.
Yeah, exactly. Like you just show up there with a baseball bat, where's my money? But like I got one right here. See?
So you brought up something that I think I want to explore deeper. You brought up like pre-order bonuses, which isn't something that Chatty talked about that much because I don't think people care as much as they used to. But pre-order bonuses it makes for a hard balance because you said like, oh, they might give you like a gun or whatever.
Yeah.
But there's no way they can make that gun really good.
Right.
It's sort of damned if you do, damned if you don't. If they make the gun bonus really like amazing and you just kind of breeze through the first half of the game with that gun, then it's like, okay, well, you're kind of cheapening the experience and breaking the game balance in a way, you know. But meanwhile, if they make it like just an average gun that just like any of the other guns, it's like, okay, well, I have other weapons. I don't really need this. So either way, it becomes not worth it in one way or another. Either being not good enough or too good in a way. It's there's no great design solution because it's not part of the design process from the beginning.
And when you go and you pre-order, it's like I put down the money for this, and then I never actually use it. Like I pre-ordered South Park, and I don't even know why in retrospect. But like they get like GameStop's like, we'll give you all these costumes for your kid. I'm like, cool. And then I never used them ever because I had better stuff like instantly. So it's the whole. I think I used the gloves. I think I used like the weird gloves because I looked like the Undertaker and I was kind of into that. But but other than that, it was just like what's the point of this? But at the same time, it is something you can say, hey, I wouldn't have this unless I did that. And if I'm going to get this game anyway, why not kick in $5 and I'll get this extra crap? Maybe I'll use it, maybe I won't. Yeah. I will say I miss physical pre-order bonuses. I remember when I was a kid, and you could like, if you pre-order Parasite Eve, you'll get some keychains or
you get a little T-shirt. I still have an Illusion of Gaia T-shirt.
Oh my god! Does it like still like? I'm amazed that you still have it. Like it's. I still have it. I would have thought it was disintegrated once like past like the year 2000.
I'm sure if I wore it, it would turn to dust immediatally.
Keep it in a vacuum sealed bag. Give it to your daughter later or something like that. Like, Dad, I don't want this.
Here you go. It's pajamas now. Because of course all of those pre-order T-shirts, they were always extra large, like every single time. Because they're like,
kids like camping. Make it into a tent.
There's no such thing as skinny nerds, Andrew. Anyway, Degenerate brought up an interesting point that I thought this is a reasoning that I haven't really heard very often. He said basically, if it's a series or developer or publisher I've immensely enjoyed and want to continue supporting, I don't mind paying full price. Fallout 4 is my example here. I will gladly pay full price at release because I love the previous Fallouts and I trust Bethesda. So the trust part, obviously you want to trust that the product that you're sort of plunking money down for is going to be good. But it's also that almost sounds like the free to play tip jar kind of thing. It's like, yeah, I like your stuff, so I will go ahead and assume that you're going to give me something else that I like, and here you go. Sight unseen, reviews unseen, etc. And that's obviously something that factors in for a lot of people, but I haven't thought of it in those exact terms.
Do you have any thoughts on that, Andrew? Because I do, but I don't want to like step on you.
Oh no, I just I guess I kind of agree. I would do the same thing for someone like BioWare, but I'm a little cynical. I don't trust a lot of companies.
See, I don't trust a lot of things, but I hardly ever pre-order games because one thing about this discussion is that being in this industry, I never know when I'm going to review a game, so I don't bother pre-ordering I'm like, well, I might end up reviewing that. I don't know. I won't know until we get closer to it. So whatever. But the one thing I did pre-order recently was Fallout 4, since Degenerate brought that up. And it was just because the Pip-Boy edition, like, so rarely goes up, and it was like, okay, they're all out, and then they came back for like an hour on Amazon where they got more stock in, and I was like, all right, sure, I'll pre-order. No, I'll cancel later if I decide I don't want it. but like
that's a cool pre-order bonus.
It is, yeah. It's a cool bonus, and it's like okay, I want to guarantee myself this thing that keeps running out of stock, and then I can always change my mind later. That's sort of the other thing about pre-orders is I can always change my mind later factor, you know.
See, here's the thing, like if you're looking for a video feature for shacknews.com, okay. I want maybe whichever one of you actually gets this thing, just wear it out in public all day.
Oh yeah, just wear it
and film people's reactions. Like not at PAX, not at Comic-Con or anything like that. Like you go to the mall.
Can you get like a gray jumpsuit that says like
Sunday
on the back?
Nope.
Yeah. Go to Wildwood, New Jersey. Walk on the boardwalk.
Yeah. I would like to see that.
You're saying you have to be wearing like regular street clothes.
I'm thinking that's funnier.
Yeah.
In street clothes or with the jumpsuit?
I mean, I don't know. Like, I'll leave that one up to you. You guys figure that out.
I'll look in my wardrobe, see what I got.
Okay. I'll see if I have any jumpsuits lying around.
Yeah, I never know. I did a lot of productions.
Yeah, I might. You never know. And speaking of Fallout, obviously Fallouts tend to be kind of buggy. I think if you're pre-ordering Fallout 4, you're almost going in with the expectation, like, this is probably going to be a little buggy. If it's not, that'll be a nice, pleasant surprise. But, like, you're going in eyes open. I don't think there's any way anybody could pre-order that and not think that is a distinct possibility. So this brings up another thing that Himtroll said. He wants to add that pre-ordering games from developers that continue to put out broken releases, he didn't name Fallout here, he said looking at you, Dice, is a bad habit, and I wish everyone would stop doing it. Voting with your wallet only works if enough people do it. So kind of venting frustration there with people who just go ahead and pre-order, and the publishers don't learn any lessons about not putting out bad, broken things.
So, yeah. I know, because it's kind of like with I used to watch a video series on The Escapist called the Jimquisition, and he hates pre-orders and whatnot. And he brings up a good point with that, is that we're giving money to a game that we don't know the quality of yet. Like, we assume that it's going to be good. We assume that everything will go fine, and when it doesn't go fine, you're shit out of luck. And there's nothing you can really do about it. You can be mad and hopefully learn your lesson from before, but your Batman Arkham Knight is still going to be shit on your PC regardless of when you pre-ordered it.
Yeah.
And that's an unfortunate risk that we now have to consider with pre-orders, because now we have to look at a game. It's like, will this meet the expectation? Like, I'm giving them more money or money soon without actually having the product.
Especially with the trend lately of games just like launching broken, just like being flat broken. Like, I feel like I don't have statistics to back this up. I'm plowing ahead without any data, as we usually do on the show. But it seems like that trend has become more prominent lately. I don't remember it being. I remember games launching broken, but I don't remember it being like such a regular occurrence where several sites, including ours, have adopted policies of, we will publish a score once we see the actual game. We never really had to do that before. Or once we see like this day one patch that they say is going to fix a bunch of stuff, but might break it, we don't know. Things like that.
I have a question for you two. Do you think this is because we're seeing more broken games, is because now developers have the ability to fix them later on?
Oh, absolutely. Yes. Absolutely. Oh yes.
Like back in the '90s, if the game's broken, you're fucking done.
Yeah, but I think making a day one patch is like, they just assume they're going to make a day one patch. Like that's they know that going in, and so whatever is unfinished as of ship time, they're like, all right, now we roll the team into working on the patch.
Right. And like, I'm sympathetic to that, like, because I've talked to a lot of people who have I've talked to people who have actually worked as developers. It's a difficult thing when you want to make a good game, you want to put the time into it, but the people who control the money are like, no, we got to ship this.
Yeah, and they've set a date. They have retailer partners, and it's part of the whole like commerce aspect of gaming that it gets tied up in that, and there's not really any way to turn back from it.
And so, if nothing else, like I don't want to like completely let developers off the hook here, but it does give them that ability to be like, well, we can eventually make this what we wanted it to be if we had enough time to do it. So, I mean, I think it kind of sucks that we're at that point where we are expecting games now to be broken or to not be what they're supposed to be when they launch. But on the other hand, I'm at least glad that we have the ability to allow the team to go back, take in player comments and consideration, that sort of thing. But it's interesting that we have essentially created this expectation that if you get a game on launch day, if you pre-order it or you go into the store on launch day, you're a beta tester.
Yes.
Like you are there testing it for the people who are, let's face it, smart enough to wait a couple weeks, like,
and probably get a price drop on top of that.
Yeah, not to put too fine a point on it.
That's sort of the other thing that I didn't sort of mention in my topic starter, but it's like games go on sale so quickly now that paying. I mean, some people even mentioned like, oh yeah, there are Witcher sales that I could get it for like $20 off if I pre-ordered through certain sites. But most games, it's like they'll be $60 for like a few weeks, and then after that, you can find it for cheaper already. So you have to be really committed to getting it day one and to sort of being part of the zeitgeist and part of the conversation. And with the amount of games on my backlog that I haven't finished, it's sort of silly for me to be like, yeah, I need it day one, so that I can play a few hours and be able to talk to people about it, and then get back to the rest of it sometime later.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No. What was your question? Please?
I was just going to raise the question. What we're actually seeing too, a lot of pre-order bonuses are themselves betas for the main game.
Yeah, that's true.
I pre-ordered Street Fighter V to get in on the beta for the sole purpose of being able to talk about it next week. So stay tuned. But that to me is weird because what essentially you're doing is, in theory, what you're doing is you're giving the hardcore fans a chance to play the game, get their hands on it, try it out, and that sort of thing. But you're also, and that's great. But what you're also doing is giving those same fans the chance to look at this and say, hey, I don't actually want this. This is not good. This is not what I want it to be.
That's true.
I'm going to cancel my pre-order. That takes guts. Like that. That's some kind of bravery. And I'm looking at this like thinking, I generally like Street Fighter, but if I play this beta and I get the impression that what I think it's going to happen is they're making this for the people who play at Evo and not for the people who play at home alone crying in their
They're targeting it squarely at about a dozen people.
Yeah. Like if they're making this for like Daigo and Justin Wong and stuff like that, that's not really my scene. I'll just stick to Mortal Kombat, even though I prefer Street Fighter in general. So so that beta really is a double-edged sword, and I just don't know what you guys thought about that.
This might end up being a big topic we do some other time, but I think betas in general, we throw that term around so much these days, but they're kind of demos. Also, like they're not betas of the game code; they're betas of the net code more often, or the server load and things like that. And all that's fair. Like they need to test that stuff, so that's fine. But it's not a beta in the classical sense of this thing is feature complete. Yeah, this thing is feature complete but not finished. When they give a consumer beta, it's pretty much finished.
Street Fighter might actually, that might actually be a real beta because the character selections are gonna be pretty limited, and the actual game doesn't drop till like March. So it's not quite like some betas where
I'm talking about when you have these betas that it's like try the beta. In September, and then we're launching in October. It's like, well, that's not a beta, guys.
It's beta before we launch.
Yeah. So Freon said the solution to all this, the fix, is stop. Okay, really, probably the media and the review press in general talking more about it. Consumer advocacy in the press. He said speaking out doesn't tend to get a lot of media review copies and good treatment. We have never been punished, I mean, as far as I know, for speaking out about anything. But he says there's a lack of good independent journalism in the gaming world. Most of the criticism crawls out of forums like this, referring to the Chatty, or aggregators like Reddit and so forth. And I think he's probably right that to an extent, I think the media is getting better at this, but to an extent, the media has historically tended to follow the consumers. When really, we need to be on the forefront. We need to be the consumer advocates, saying like, "Hey, shit's broke, yo." Instead of being like, "Oh wow, Reddit's really pissed that this thing is broke. Maybe we should write a story about that." I think we're getting better at that, but we're still not at the forefront all the time like we should be.
Sure. And that whole question of access, and I think this would also be a great topic to talk about in more detail. Like, this isn't really a new question, right? Like, go back to like the days of Total Recall for the NES. And I think, what was it, EGM got in trouble because they ran a bad review of that game, and like the publisher said, we're never sending any of our other games to you. You know, it's not a new thing. But
there's lots of
Yeah. That's something we can talk about in more detail another time, I think, because it deserves its own show.
Yes. Speaking of access, this is kind of funny. Sailor of Fortune mentioned back in the day of box game retailers like Electronics Boutique, pre-ordering PC games got me the game like 2 or 3 weeks ahead of release date because the stores just broke their street date. He said he got Homeworld and Red Alert 2 well before release.
That's beautiful.
So that's
why wouldn't you pre-order?
Yeah, of course you would. If you knew that was a possibility. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's a good positive there.
But I don't think retailers have wised up to that game by now. And speaking of PC, this is another good point from Degenerate. One thing he used to care about and no longer really do: preloading. Actually, when I brought up this topic among our staff, Josh Hawkins said, like, I pre-order because I want to preload, because I want to play a game the moment it's available. Degenerate sort of took the opposite tack. He said, I used to have the game preloaded and ready to unlock so I could try it out, at least for a little bit, ASAP, and I can't make myself stay up near as late for most games anymore. Internet speeds are to the point that is usually not even an issue. So I just start the download and install the next morning when it's ready, and it's ready when I am later that night. So it sort of sounds like an old man versus young man thing. Josh is our resident infant, and he I'm sure like he'll like the game will unlock at midnight. I'm sure he'll stay up till like 3 a.m. or whatever playing it. Degenerate is sort of an older crotchety man like me, and saying like, well, F that. I don't want to stay up that late. I will just play it the next day. I'm fine. So the whole like I want it as soon as possible thing, has that ever factored in for you guys?
Well, as a sexy young adult,
you're like a year younger than me.
Okay, I'm sorry, Grandpa.
You
gotta start talking sense. I honestly say no. It has never really mattered to me. Like the idea of preloading is cool, but I can count the entire number of times I've preloaded a game. The one time I think I did it, and I could be faulty. Maybe there's other times, but I know for sure the one time I did it was the PlayStation 4 version of The Legend of Korra.
Yeah, that piece of shit.
Yeah, wow.
I wouldn't quite go that far, but
glad you bought it.
I wouldn't go.
It wasn't as good a game as the show is a show.
And listen, I probably look. I pre-ordered that because I really liked that show. To the point where we used to do a podcast about it. Don't go looking for it; it doesn't exist anymore.
It's embarrassing.
It was actually good, but I preloaded it, and I was able to play it right away and be disappointed immediately.
Yes, exactly. And preloading,
and it's just
it used to be like you mentioned PS4. It used to be the exclusive realm of PC games. Console games are doing it more often. I think the drawback of preloading is that if you preload, you are definitely paying like full retail, whatever $9.99 price. There's no discounts if you're preloading because they never really let you do that, unless those Witcher anecdotes included preloading, and I don't know whether or not they did. I think this explanation we'll sort of leave off on this and chime in with any final thoughts. But this explanation is probably my favorite because it gets into the core of what games are about. Mad Dog Delphi 97 said, I usually pre-order if I know a bunch of shackers are going to play the game on day one and it's a fun multiplayer game. And I think that is a beautiful
Aw.
little sentiment. Like, okay, yeah, like if I know my friends are getting into it, that's when I do it, and that's what games are
It's like
really for.
that's like
Oh, that's-
2 weeks in a row that we've had this really sweet, kind of beautiful
Yeah.
thing. You guys are a bunch of fuzzy teddy bears.
Oh, come in here, guys. Let's hug.
You're adorable.
So we're gonna move on now, unless either of you have any more thoughts to offer. But everyone seemed to be like, "Aw," after that
Yeah.
from Moon Dog.
Yeah, let's end on a good note. Let's
Yeah.
not tempt fate.
Pre-orders up. But anyway, newsy bits. Our next segment, we're gonna be talking about just a couple minutes on a couple of news items. It's the summer, news is slow, but a couple of the bigger news items of the last week. First up, announced at Evo, which our own Ozzy Mejia was at. He caught some sort of Evo flu, otherwise he would be here today. But Street Fighter V is switching to in-game currency over DLC. You'll probably still be able to, do the old DLC route if you really want to, but you can just earn your way to DLC characters. And Street Fighter is sort of, I think, infamous for introducing new characters at a premium, going all the way back to like Super Street Fighter 4 when it's like Turbo, but there's 4 new characters, pay us $60. And they produce these new games, Street Fighter 4. They had a bunch of DLC characters. Now they had like a billion versions of that too. But now for Street Fighter 5, yeah, they're just having it like you can get your fight money and buy characters with your fight money. So this seems like a good step, right? Like
Yeah. They have to if they want to survive in this kind of market now. Like, what games have that option of like real money but no in-game currency money? Like, people don't like that option anymore. I mean, they like having that in-game currency. Yeah,
it's borrowing the free-to-play model, or more cynically, letting you do it the way that you always did it before DLC existed.
I like that they have in-game currency. It's the same reason why I like how games like League of Legends and Dota have in-game currency, because in order to get good at those games, you have to play it a lot.
Yeah.
Like a lot. And what better way to make you play that game a lot than earn some currency while you're doing it?
I mean, my reservation is
like to do it.
My reservation is how much will you have to play, or how good will you have to be? Like, because it's got to be one or the other thing, right? Like, if you're a pro level player, you probably won't have to play that much because you'll be so good that you'll be just whooping ass and making tons of money.
So yeah.
But if you're not that, if you're, for example, me, who's kind of bad,
it's true. He's terrible.
I'm probably going to have to play like a significant amount more, just to get like enough fight money for like a character. So I'd like to see more details on what the currency looks like, I guess.
Well, you're going to have to play so long. Like, that's the thing. It's like, because I read the thing on, they had a story in the PlayStation blog. They're calling it the new way to play Street Fighter. Like you said, first off, it's not that new. And second,
it's the old way to play Street Fighter.
And second, like, I guarantee you that it will take you, like, maybe hours, like, I don't know, however many number of hours to unlock a character. And they're definitely gonna like rank those characters. Like, the really good ones are gonna be really high up. But it's gonna take you significantly more time to get the fight money to do that, as opposed to I'm just gonna pay. Like, if I want Balrog or whatever.
Which is what they're counting on, I'm sure. Like, you want a certain percentage of customers to take the shortcut.
And what's also funny,
money.
too, is I don't know if this is the game to try this out on, especially if they are kind of doing what I think they're doing and moving it more towards the Evo tournament circuit stuff. Because most of the really high-end players have one character, and that's the only one they use. So, like, if you're trying to get them to spend more money, they probably won't. Like, unless they're using it to, like, go into the metagame and, like, run rounds against somebody else. But I don't know how many of them actually use, like, the practice. I'm not sure. I don't know anything about competitive fighting game tournaments. Like, I'll be honest. I enjoy watching them, but I don't know anything about the training schedule or anything like that.
Only someone who likes competitive fighting games and goes to conventions were like, here on the show. If only we had someone like that.
I have some semblance of ideas of that. It's a job for them,
right?
And I don't think it's for them, because, like you said, they have a character and they're going to stick with that character. It's for people like me, who want to be competitive but don't want to be that competitive. So it's like I said, it's the model that esport games are taking, and if Street Fighter wants to stay afloat, they're going to have to adopt to that.
Yeah.
Well, especially if they're making a sequel. Like, this is Street Fighter 5. And I think the criticism of Street Fighter 5 right from the beginning was like, okay, this looks a lot like Street Fighter 4, you guys, you know, because the transition between each Street Fighter 1 through 4 has been very dramatic. Like Street Fighter 1 to 2, and then 2 to 3, 3 to 4. All of them were like very dramatic style shifts and things like that. 5 looks prettier. It looks better, and I'm sure that there's technical things that are different that someone like me might notice on some sort of peripheral level, but won't fully appreciate how much that shakes up the tournament scene. Right. But it looks a lot like 4, so they need something bigger, and maybe this is what they're hanging their hat on, to have like a nice constant stream of new characters and let you earn them, sort of the MOBA model.
What I would love to see, like, if they go to town and just be like, okay, we have probably one of the best rosters of characters in fighting games, if not all of video games, right? We're going to put, like, everybody that's ever been in a Street Fighter game.
Yeah. And heck, everybody that's been in a Marvel vs. Street Fighter.
Sure. And the thing that will get, like, I will say this right now, if, and only if, they put Mike Hagger in Street Fighter,
yeah,
I will pay for I will give them whatever amount of money it takes.
And none of
that's been too long in coming.
None of that Final Fight 3 bullshit. He needs to be wearing a belt as one suspender. That needs to be his outfit.
Yeah, like they put in Cody and Guy are terrible. Give me Mike Hagger.
And Cody went to prison at some point. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Like, Cody's terrible.
Complex.
Like, they're going in the right direction. They're putting, like, Karen from Street Fighter Alpha 3, and I think Rolento is going to be in there. So they're putting in all the good characters. Yeah, Skullomania. Why
not? Let's get through this next newsy bit, this next and last newsy bit quickly, because we have another segment to get to. My favorite new segment of the show. The next newsy bit, Alex Morgan becomes the first ever female cover athlete for FIFA 16 in the U.S. So that's exciting news. We did it, SJWs. We did it.
We did it.
We won. Hooray!
So, like,
I don't know shit about soccer, but you know.
Me neither. It's sports ball. Yeah.
I don't either, but I will say that it's really, really cool to have a lady. Now, first off, she's not the only she's sharing it with Messier or something.
Yeah,
I don't know.
She's
Who
the first female on the cover. She's not the only athlete on the cover. Yeah.
And and people pointed out, well, she wasn't really that impressive in the Women's World Cup. There are other women who are more impressive, like Carly Lloyd and that sort of thing. Of course, they probably had this set months ago, so they had no idea how it was going to shake out, or that the women.
And
would
also,
win
if
the
you're
World
famous,
Cup.
you're famous. Like
they didn't change
They didn't change the cover athlete on Tiger Woods every year, depending on how Tiger Woods was doing.
Right.
They only changed it after he was caught cheating on his wife.
By the way, they also changed it when his play dropped off precipitously.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
If you don't follow golf, I only sort of follow. Like, I know that it exists, but the big story is that Tiger Woods has just completely gone.
And you know what? John Madden hasn't scored a touchdown in like
years. My God, years.
Yeah. So come on, give him a break.
Now I have to look up if he actually ever played.
He did.
Okay.
I don't know much about these sports ball games, but I always hear people complaining about the people on the covers anyway. Like, oh, why is he on the cover? Oh, why his season was bad? Whatever.
I don't know. Last year's cover athlete for the show, MLB The Show, was pretty good. But then again, that's because
I believe you.
Football fan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a blatant Detroit Tigers homer though, so if you put Miguel Cabrera on something, I'm probably going to buy it. I mean, that's just me.
So let's nod politely.
Yes.
Let's move on to our.
That's all I got. I don't know anything about soccer or anything else, but baseball, I'm pretty literate.
Segment, as debuted last week, Beat the Doc, in which I pit my friends against each other for my own amusement and abuse my hosting powers. So once again, Andrew, you weren't here last week, so I will just re-explain the rules every time. Once again, this is going to be best of 3. Our guest goes first. It's a trivia game. Today's game is called Molyneux or Molyneux. I'm going to read you a quote, and you have to tell me if it is from famed, grandiose game designer Peter Molyneux or the parody Twitter account Peter Molyneux.
I think I could actually
You know
do
how
this.
difficult this is going to be?
Oh, I love this game.
Be filled with hyperbole and absurdism.
You should have been here last week. That was... I
Yeah,
still call shenanigans.
last week was reading back of box quotes.
Oh my god.
All right.
Yeah.
So our guest goes
All
first.
right.
Andrew, this quote is for you. Quote, I can tell you definitively that there is absolutely an acorn, and it does absolutely grow into a tree, and it is actually part of the story now.
I want to say that's Molyneux talking about Fable.
That is Molyneux talking about Fable.
Yes!
That did not happen. There was no acorn that grew
Oh, yeah.
into a tree.
Oh no, I followed Fable like since its beginning, and what I was reading and what I played were two different fucking games.
All right, Brian, it's your turn next. What if NPCs could load and save your game? You have to keep on their side, otherwise they won't save your game or load old saves.
That's Molyneux.
That is Molyneux, yes.
Yeah.
These quotes are very close to each other, though. Andrew, your turn again. It is tied 1-1.
All right, here comes the fastball.
Imagine if your player avatar feared you, became anxious if you pressed the buttons too hard and too fast.
That is Molyneux talking about Black and White.
No, that is Molyneux. That is
Damn
Molyneux.
it!
That is a fake one. So it is still tied at 1-1.
I'm still excited. Whatever.
Brian, I might not have enough. If we tie it up, I might have to call it a tie. I might have miscounted how many I need. All right, Brian.
Mm-hmm.
If you go into battle, you could win a ginger-haired person. You could win
Okay, this one's actually really hard.
a ginger-haired person.
I'm gonna say that is that's got to be. You know what? I'm gonna say it just because I want to see where this goes. I'm gonna say that's actually Molyneux.
That is Molyneux. That is you are correct.
What was he
There you
talking
go.
about? What game was that?
I don't know. I don't remember. I
Bloody
pulled up
hell,
Molyneux
what the
quotes. I don't necessarily know what all of them
That one
relate to.
seems so that one seems so obviously Molyneux that it had to be
That it
the
had
real
to be
genuine
Molyneux?
article.
Yeah. All right, Andrew, for the tie. I think that's the best we can do now because I don't have another quote to break the tie.
Okay.
Andrew, for the tie. We're explorers who have just discovered this new continent of emotion.
God. Oh, that could go either way.
Oh, this game is the best.
Explode a continent of emotions?
Yes, you're explorers who have just discovered this new continent of emotion.
I'm going to say it's Molyneux.
No, that is
Ah.
Molyneux. I think he was talking about forming an emotional relationship with your dog or whatever, and saying like games have gotten to the point where you can have emotion in them. So yes, Brian has taken away his first win in this incredibly convoluted kind of stupid game.
You were a worthy foe, Andrew.
To be fair, that was a rough one, and I sort of just mixed up the quotes randomly. I didn't try to make them harder as we went along.
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't want it to be like
I have to
Molyneux,
know-
Molyneux, then Molyneux.
That's a tough subject.
That is tough. I knew it would be a rough one. I'm gonna keep all these like in the quiver for when I need game ideas. So far, we've got the box quotes one. We've got Molyneux or Molyneux. So
If you have any suggestions, by the way,
yeah,
put those in the chatty too.
I've got some other ideas. I'm gonna like keep making different games until I run out of ideas. And then
And
circle
as
around
always,
again.
I feel like I should remind everybody, as the reigning, defending 1-1 record holder of Beat the Doc, I'm batting 500, baby. I do not get these answers ahead of time. I have no idea what he's even doing until like.
I did not
the
even
moment we get on
tell.
the show. Yeah.
Brian the name of the game beforehand.
No,
because
I have no idea. Like every week, it's just gonna be like, what did this idiot come up with this?
And it's phrased in such a way, as I said last week, it is phrased in such a way that you would think that it's very difficult to beat Brian.
No,
But
it's
you
not.
underestimate how badly I want to like embarrass my friend. So I try my best to let our guest have them. Anyway, that is the show. That is the Chattycast. Thank you for listening. We still have our iTunes review giveaway going on. So if you go to iTunes and throw us a review, good or bad, we're not trying to bribe you. Tell us your honest opinion. You will be entered to win a key for Red Solstice, the RTS. So go ahead and do that. do it right now as you're listening, so you don't forget, because you're gonna forget.
Like if you're driving, pull over.
Yeah.
And then.
Yeah, like don't do it if you're driving.
Don't
pull
come
out
to a
your
complete
phone.
stop. Put it in park.
In mass, there's so many accidents caused directly by the Chattycast. Anyways, yeah. So pull over first, but do it right now as you're listening, so you don't forget, and you can win a copy of Red Solstice. At any rate, that is the show. So for next week, I am Steve Watts.
I am Brian Carr.
And we have been joined by
Dan Trusakowski.
And we will see you on Chatty.